You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Air and Airport, it's done. The election is over. We will never have to hear about politics again for the rest of our lives, I hope.
Yeah, well, I guess that means we'll be in a dictatorship if this is the last election ever.
Oh yeah, damn it. Maybe we'll have other elections. Did you survive? Like, has it been a rough few days for you listening to it over and over again and hearing everybody argue about different stuff?
I was really interested in it, and I was very invested in this election, so there was a good degree of entertainment value to me. So entertaining in the sense that I was extremely engaged on the edge of my seat all night, waiting for the results to come in, following it heavily leading up to it. So, I was pumped for election night. I was sweating bullets, and I'm not going to get into which side I was on or who I voted for, anything like that. However, I was very, very invested in this election.
Yeah, I stayed up watching it as well. I always do. It's interesting, but I just think like this election in particular seems to be the most like divisive one that I ever remember. And maybe that's just because I'm older and I'm paying more attention to it now, but this one felt different. And I'm just hoping for the sake of society and humanity that people can find a way to come together after this. We have so much negativity in the world that I just hope, I hope things stabilize. But what I did notice is that on our show here on Keep Canada Weird, we focus on unique and offbeat news stories that played out across Canada over the past week. And I will tell you, when going through the week's news over the past week, 99.5% of it related to that election. But that didn't stop us. We have some amazing stories tonight. I sincerely and genuinely mean it. I think tonight is going to be an amazing episode. But before we get to the stories, let me ask you right off the bat, what do you got in your cup? Do you have a special drink?
You know, I felt I really delivered last week with my special drink when I was getting effed up on wine.
Yeah, that's right. I did a lot of editing last week.
No, I was bang on, to be honest.
Sure, that's what every person who's drinking wine thinks.
No, I was good. I was hitting home runs left and right. I'm sure the listeners were rolling over in their beds or their couches, listening to the show, laughing, and then being like, he's so insightful. What an interesting man. I've never heard someone effed up on wine who's so articulate at the same time. This is just some assumed feedback that I didn't receive, but it's assumed feedback. So therefore it's just as legitimate as factual feedback.
That's true. I will say, like, I didn't get any messages along those lines, but when people send voicemails at nighttimepodcast.com/contact, on occasion there are errors and I don't get them. So maybe there was some kind of technological problem that prevented that glowing feedback about your performance from coming through.
Well, it can be very hard to leave a voicemail when you're so excited from a previous episode that you just listened to, and your hands could be shaking and you could be kind of stumbling through it. So maybe in a few weeks, when the listeners calm down and relax from that episode, they'll be able to leave some proper feedback.
That's true. Anyway, back on topic here. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm back to a standard. I was speaking to a police man, and he recommended I go back on Coca-Cola, 0 sugar, 0 caffeine. So I am back to my regular scheduled special drink.
Yeah, and I'm not doing anything fancy either. For me, a tea with a bit of milk and sweetener is special enough. Cheers, Aaron.
Ting.
Ding. Let's get into it. We got to keep Canada weird. And the theme of this episode is going to be stories that were silenced by the curtain of silence that the election's news coverage cast upon Weird Canada. Some of these stories are just interesting stories that didn't make their way into most people's news feeds, maybe just because of the election, but in some cases, maybe intentionally, because I do sense a little bit of cover-up in a few of these stories. But before we get into them, I got one that I want to open the doors to the show with right off the bat. On the topic of the election hogging the spotlight over the last week, I want to share the story of a Vancouver realtor who found a way to cut through the noise and let people know about an open house that he would be hosting, despite all the distractions we have. Jacob Strigan turned heads and won hearts with a parody of Creed's Arms Wide Open. Listen to this and tell me if you support this sort of thing.
Creed gave us the classic, but Vancouver realtor Jacob Strigan gave us the listing price. He advertised this North Vancouver condo in his own creative way.
I was a little nervous about putting myself out there. I was worried that it wouldn't be received well.
Which turned out not to be a problem. In just 7 days, the video has garnered more than 5,000 views and lots of support.
I've always had the urge to try something different and break out. Iconic tub from the video, and of course the kitchen sink. The more creativity you imply, the more people get to know who you are as an agent.
And in 2025, digital marketing is more impactful than ever. Jacob says besides the clear inspiration from Creed, writing and vocals were all him.
There was no AI involved in this song at all.
Jacob's message to those wanting to branch out:
just go for it. I've been really successful in taking a lot of risks in my life. If you have an idea, if you think that you can do it, don't let yourself be too worried.
And as for any upcoming music for his new fans to look forward to,
I've got a couple other songs in the works. I'm working on a song right now that should come out in May. And then I've got a Michael Bublé song that I'm working on, but I haven't quite got the right listing for it yet.
So though some agents host open houses, this one will continue to sing about it with his...
What's the verdict?
What's the verdict? I commend him on the extreme amount of effort that not using AI and producing these types of high production videos would be to sell one house, right? So
Price of a condo in Vancouver sky high. He's getting a good commission on it. He has a lot to gain by selling the condo. But that said, I commend him for trying something different and taking a risk and doing something. I think that's cool. I would be, if he was my real estate agent and he made something like that, I'd be like, all right, like this guy is trying to make something happen. Right.
Here's where I think he's going to land some issues in terms of if he's going to try and maintain this and be like, this is my, this is the way I sell homes now, is making music videos and recording parody songs. It's going to consume so much of his time. And if you're a successful real estate agent in no matter what town that you're in, you are extremely busy. You're constantly going from listing to listing, dealing with clients constantly, dealing with lawyers, dealing with paperwork. You are not going to be able to maintain the ability to produce high quality music for every single listing that you have. And then you're going to run into clients of yours that are like, I saw that you did a Michael Bublé song. How come my house didn't get a song?
Well, maybe he could work it into his pricing. Like, I'll take, 3% commission if we sell the house. I'll make a music video if you give me 4%. He could do something like that. If it continues to be a success, I think if it's selling houses for him, he's going to find a way to make it happen. But what this story highlights to me anyway, as a podcaster, this is something that's affected me as well as I think almost every industry now, is this the kind of like the need to market your stuff in creative ways, often using videos. Like when I started podcasting, you just had to have cover art for your podcast and a microphone, and that was it. Now it's like when someone hears podcast, they're picturing video of two people sitting down, and then like they're on TikTok and stuff, and there's like short clips of the podcast. And just the innocence of just audio existing somewhere has kind of died. Real estate agents have the same mess where they have to make fancy videos now. I'm sure like every profession, they need to do videos, short videos, and go viral to make anything happen. But I commend them.
How would you react as a client? You're trying to sell your house and you text your real estate agent and they said, I can't get to that right now. I'm busy in the studio.
You know what? I've bought and sold houses. As long as if that agent is selling a house for me, I would say you be busy doing whatever you got to do to get that money in my bank account. If you have to sing parodies of Creed,
yeah,
let her rip.
Again, I don't want to take away from the creativity and the gusto that this takes. I commend it, but I think he's got to be very careful now because he's now accepted media attention. Now the expectations are raised, the bar is raised. So now he's got to meet those expectations.
Yeah, he's the real estate agent that makes songs, and that's a heavy burden to bear. I wish him the best. I'm glad he did it, and I think he's doing more than his part to keep Canada weird, and that's something we always commend. But with all that said, let's get into it. We have a whole series of stories tonight that most Canadians missed as they were too preoccupied with what was happening in Ottawa. So let's tell them all about the wonderful, weird week the past one has been. First, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to hear about 2 cover-ups that occurred over the past week. We'll get into them right after this short break. You got your tinfoil hat on, Aaron?
Yeah, it's covering my bald spot.
I want you to pay close attention to the next 2 stories because I can't help but feel like there's more to both of these than meets the eye. I want to start with a story concerning the sudden and unexpected closure of a school in New Brunswick. While the country was focused on the election and all the political promises, at Topeka Valley High School in Plaster Rock, schools were closed for the week and students forced to attend a different school for the duration of the year. And they say it's all because of a bat infestation. Here's the story of the bats in New Brunswick.
The closure of Topeka Valley Middle High School for the remainder of the academic year will see the relocation of 134 students and 22 teachers. The Anglophone West School District made the announcement late Friday, saying the closure was needed to provide a safe learning environment and remediate the bat issue, which has been a problem in the building for several years now.
I had been locked in my homeroom myself because of a bat roaming the hallway.
I was doing my co-op cleaning the kitchen and I stepped on a bat. It just come out of nowhere.
On March 17th, students were let out early after bats were reportedly flying around the building. A total of 13 brown bats were removed.
Since the bats were supposedly dealt with, no one else really worried about it.
The announcement of the school's closure came as a shock to many.
Shocked and relieved, I guess. I'll be so relieved that my children, as well as the other 134 children attending the school, can finally go to school and relax and not have the issues of wearing your hair up and constantly looking up all the time and constantly being paranoid over being chased by bats down the hallway and having janitors running with fishing nets.
Students in grades 6 to 8 will move to Donald Fraser Memorial School just down the street. High school students will travel to Southern Victoria High School in Perth Andover, about 40 kilometers away. Topeka Valley students are disappointed to not be finishing the year in their own school.
But I'm also very grateful that I have a facility that I can go to that's a learning environment.
Students will have the rest of the week off before going to their new schools next Monday.
So there's a few ways we can break down this story. First of all, I don't want to be crazy, but let's say if there was a vampire attack on a school in rural New Brunswick and they wanted to cover it up, is that how you do it?
Cover it up.
So the people don't freak out about the vampires.
So people think, yeah, these are vampire bats then is what you're suggesting?
I just feel like there's something odd about this.
It's not odd to me. It's an infestation into a building that's probably old and has a lot of nooks and crannies that something like a bat could easily squeeze into for shelter and then start nesting. And then next
I think they breed I think they breed quick as well. Like bats, they're just like rats and mice with wings. Like I think they breed really fast. But to have them all around a school, like what a weird thing to be infested by. But I should also say, I do know that the bats involved in this are an endangered species, and that's part of the problem. They can't just kill them. What they have to do to get rid of them is, I guess there's some kind of mist or gas or something that they pump through the building and through the attic that it doesn't harm the bats, but they don't like it. So they all fly out. And then when they're out of the building, then you seal up all the holes so they can't get back in. So you just got to trick them.
Wow, that's not very nice to trick the bats, though. This could really, if they don't handle this with delicate gloves and be respectful to the bats, then the animal uprising might come sooner than we think.
Yeah. Or it could turn into a vampire kind of situation if vampires are real.
If they are actually vampire bats, according to your theory, then I would be extremely concerned of Count Dracula and Count Chocula and what are some other famous vampires?
The Count from Sesame Street.
The Count from Sesame Street. That's another great one. He's violent.
And actually, this is a high school. The Count from Sesame Street would fit right in there.
Oh yeah, he's probably teaching some of these classes actually.
The math teacher.
One bat infestation. Two bat infestation.
Yeah, it's an interesting story, though. I think the biggest lie told in that whole news clip, though, was there was a student at the very end who talked about, like, they ended up closing the school. They had a week off, but she was just relieved that she would have a good learning environment. I guarantee every kid in that school was just pumped to have a week off school because of a ridiculous thing like a bat infestation.
Yeah, but you do always, in every class, there's always one or two keeners that actually are disappointed that school is canceled.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
See, I didn't need an in-service or a bad infestation for me to miss school. I just didn't go.
Like, my belly hurts, Dad. And then, all right, you could stay home.
Oh, no, it wasn't that.
No.
I didn't have to say anything because my dad left for work at 7 a.m. So he'd wake me up, be like, get up for school, see you later. And then he'd leave for work, and then I'd just go back to bed.
Well, that makes it easy.
And I should say it's my father's birthday today, just before I came here home to record. I was at Eastside Mario's enjoying a nice birthday celebration dinner with my father and my sisters and my nephews. And
oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a nice time.
It's funny you say that. 2 comments on Eastside Mario's. One, do they still do the free bread at the beginning?
You still get the bread? Yeah, we did.
Good.
And my brother-in-law was there as well, I should say. So
good. I've been filling up on that bread before my meal comes since I was a little kid.
Oh, really? Yeah. The bread is tasty. Yeah. The menu is a hit or miss menu for sure, but there are a couple good things on there. But I won't want to spend too much time on Eastside Mario's because they're not Robin's Donuts, so they're not getting the royal treatment on this show.
I just want to say, though, this just brings up something I thought of earlier. We've been starting the show for the last year or so with special drinks. What I was thinking, like, if we ever wanted to mix it up, a cool way to start the show would be like, hey, Handsome Aaron Airport, what did you have for supper today?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Let's test it out because I don't know what you had. So let's organically test that out right now. I was like, oh, hey, Jordan. Yeah, no, I don't have a special drink, but tell me, what do you have for supper today?
Actually, I don't think this segment will work because one of my kids got a 10 nugget meal from McDonald's and I ate his fries.
So you had French fries for supper?
Yeah, a big thing of French fries. And they had like a special like spicy sauce. So I dipped it in. It's called.
Oh, that's exciting.
What did you have?
That's really interesting, actually. We should do this segment.
What did you have at Eastside Mario's?
I had a balsamic pesto chicken pizza.
Okay, that sounds good. Interesting. Yeah, this segment works.
Isn't it interesting? Yes, it is. Hey, thanks for saying that because I thought when I ordered it, it was very interesting. And actually, I will point this out. A lot of people at the table commented on how good my food looked and that they wished they had ordered it. And I even gave my sister a slice of my pizza because it was a pretty big pizza. And she enjoyed it very much. It had arugula on it.
Oh, let's give
Isn't that interesting?
Let's give a big Keep Canada Weird happy birthday to your dad. Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Perry.
Let's move on to the next weird story, though. This one, if the bat infestation wasn't some kind of complicated cover-up or if there wasn't shenanigans at play, This one, I'm absolutely sure of it. It involves a hum, an annoying, mysterious, unexplained hum. While the media was focused entirely on the lead up to the federal election, residents in Windsor, Ontario were dealing with a constant, unexplained hum, and nobody was talking about it. Some would say the problem was recently identified and steps are being taken to solve the issue, while others would say that the secretive high-tech battery plant in the heart of the city are using the election coverage's curtain of silence to quickly brush whatever they're up to under the rug. Here's the story of the hum coming from that mega battery plant in Windsor.
A solution is in the works for a mysterious and irritating hum emitting from the Nexstar Energy EV battery plant. Ward 7 Councillor Angelo Marignani says the hum was emitting from the air purification system on the roof of the battery plant. He says Nexstar turned off the system on April 8th, and it will remain off until noise mitigation measures are put into place. Some mitigation measures discussed include using insulation blankets that could be wrapped around the exhaust systems or continuing the berm around the building.
It was significant. People were calling and texting me. And after that, I immediately called Nexstar. They were more than happy to set up a meeting, look into the concern, and look to the solution of the concern, which is great to see.
The reason why I feel like it's a cover-up is you have this super mega high-tech secretive battery plant that opens up in this community over the last few years. And this is like a multi-billion-dollar plant. It's one of the largest buildings in Canada, I believe. The actual size of the building, it's a 4.2 million square foot building. So imagine this scene. It plays out like Stranger Things. This bizarre building's in the center of town. It's emitting this weird hum that's driving everybody crazy. Coincidentally, while the election's playing out, nobody's paying attention to anything else, and that's just the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Who is the gentleman at the end of the video?
I think he was like the guy they're texting.
Yeah.
I think he was like the mayor or something.
Yeah, he's some kind of a political figure, and he was receiving these complaints.
How much was he paid to be like, oh yeah, it's I called them, they dealt with it?
Yeah, well, it sounded to me, he seemed exhausted at the end, and it sounded to me like he just got his first cell phone ever because he starts this job in politics. They're like, you don't have a cell phone? No. Well, you got to have a cell phone. We're going to get you one. He's like, well, I've never owned a cell phone before. I don't know how to work it. It's like, it's easy. It's a phone. Oh, okay. And then he gets it. The incident with the hum happens. And all of a sudden his phone starts ringing and he starts answering it. Hello? They're like, yeah, there's a crazy hum coming from this building over here. Oh, okay. I'll look into it. And the phone rings again. Hello? It's like, yeah, there's a hum coming from this building over here. Can you look into it? Yeah, I'll look into that. And then he gets a text, and then and it's like the text reads, there's a hum coming from this building. And he does not know what a text is. He does not know how to respond to it or deal with it. His mind melts, and then the media shows up at his front door. And in the interview, he's like, yeah, they started calling and then they started texting.
He did really make a point to specifically say, like, I was also getting texts in addition to calls.
Yeah. That's what I found so funny about it. He specifically took the time to say, and then the phone calls started coming, and then the text started coming. the magic invisible words started showing up on the screen of my phone.
Well, that's a strange problem, but I just feel it's interesting that something like this happened while everyone was paying attention to something else. Maybe I watched too much sci-fi, but does it not feel like a bit of a intro to like a Stranger Things storyline or something?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Definitely the start of a sci-fi movie. And when I first laid eyes on this story, I was hearing the word hum, and I thought maybe it was referring to smell. And I was like, oh, there's an interesting smell coming from a building. This could be. But it just sounds like, some faulty equipment at work.
That would make it crazy, though. If you lived near this massive factory, that alone would be like upsetting to have this huge factory making car batteries and whatever is going on with that's one thing. But to just have this perpetual hum that I just forever be like, can you hear that? Can you not hear that? Is it just me? I have really like a really good sense of hearing. If there's a hum or static in the background, I go crazy.
Well, they investigated. It turns out it's just one of the employees' barbershop quartet practices there every night.
You may be right.
Hello, my baby. Hello. And they're like, what is that hum?
Speaking of secrets and cover-ups and espionage, I want to end this segment with a voicemail. I don't know if this is a thread or what's going on here, but it was maybe a week or so ago, or an episode or two ago, we had the voicemail of someone whispering, and we speculated that maybe they were lying in bed and they didn't want to wake their husband, and that's why they whispered. I got another whispery voicemail from a listener named Jennifer. She's commenting on the prior story we covered 1 or 2 episodes ago about the donkey sanctuary who was offended by the play on words that Rona used with an ad playing on or riffing on the saying like half-assing a job. Jennifer whispered about why she believes that's just a big misunderstanding. And she makes a really good point. Listen to this.
Okay.
Hi, Jordan and Handsome Aaron Airport. I wanted to comment on the donkey sanctuary. Now, I think we all can agree that donkeys are hardworking animals, but the saying is half-assed. So they're only putting half their energy in, which means they're doing a crappy job. Now, if they were doing something full-assed, then I think it would be a good job, and we're all going to agree that donkeys are awesome. So I really think that her outrage is a little bit misplaced, and she didn't fully understand that when you're half-assing something, you're not giving it your full donkey potential. Anyways, I hope this clarifies things for her, and we're all on Team Donkey. Go Donkeys. Bye.
So before let's first comment on what she's saying. She makes a great point. When you say half-assing something, that means you're giving it half the effort that you could. You're just like, phoning it in, so to speak. Where the person from the donkey sanctuary, they were offended because donkeys are smart and they're used for all these jobs and, around the world or whatever. Jennifer whispered a very good point, is that they're saying half-assing a job, only putting half your effort in. A full-ass job would be a good job, like a donkey could do. So I think Jennifer makes a good point. I have no idea why she needed to whisper it, though.
I do. I know exactly.
I knew you would.
That's why I know exactly. It just dawned on me. I know, because I was like, why are we getting another person whispering? And so we had theories as to why our previous caller had whispered the other week. So I know exactly why Jennifer is whispering, because she's praising donkeys. She works at a horse stable.
It could be.
Yeah, that's 100% why. Why else would you be whispering this information?
The only other reason is maybe she's like sneak listening to podcasts at work. Like maybe she has a job where she's kind of at her desk, has typing away and whatever. And maybe like in a cubicle, and she has one earbud in listening to us, with her eyes kind of pivoting around, looking for her boss to walk by so she can take the ear pod out. And maybe she just felt compelled to leave that message and wanted to do it right there from her cubicle. So she decided to kind of lean down a little bit as if she was grabbing something out of her purse, held open her phone, went to nighttimepodcast.com/contact and whispered what she had to say.
But, as the woman who worked at the donkey sanctuary was trashing horses.
Yeah, it's true. She did take shots at it.
Jennifer works at a horse stable and, heard the episode, truly respects the donkey, wanted to leave the voicemail, but she can't let the horses hear because now we have this rivalry thanks to the woman at the donkey sanctuary. So we have a rivalry between donkeys and horses started by this woman at the donkey sanctuary. So now poor Jennifer has to whisper her praises to donkeys around the other horses.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Because she'll get trampled if they hear that now.
I will say that this is the only Keep Canada Weird is the only podcast series that it makes sense to whisper about donkeys to, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's either that or a good deal of our listeners listen while they're using the bathroom in a public stall.
Could be that.
And they have to whisper so the people in the other stalls don't hear what they're saying.
Yeah. Let's take our second and final break of the night. When we get back, we have a duo of stories related to Canadians being under siege. As well, we have a story about seniors that's going to serve as a palate cleanser at the end. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to hear about some woodpeckers behaving badly in Calgary. Handsome Aaron Airport, the front lines of the animal uprising seems to have shifted to Calgary. Some Calgarians say they're under siege by an unlikely invader, a small woodpecker named the northern flicker. As these woodpeckers prolifically tap on the exterior of homes, many in Calgary are finding both their siding and their sanity is being slowly pecked away. Here's the story of the woodpeckers that have taken Calgary under siege.
It's one of the last things you want to hear outside at 5 a.m. And this noisemaker isn't just loud, it's trying to move in.
And that big hole, that's basically right outside my bedroom.
Meet the northern flicker, a type of woodpecker. This couple has been introduced and has already seen enough.
We're struggling right now just because the day-to-day activity from the bird is kind of hitting our brains and our mental pretty well.
All that noise is a flicker attempt at attracting a mate, and the birds are also known for pecking their way into homes, mainly ones with stucco siding, looking for food or a place to nest.
34, 35, 36, 37 holes. Nothing seems to work. These guys are persistent.
One Douglas Glen family is at its wit's end. They can't hurt the flickers as they're protected under the Migratory Bird Act, and solutions like spray foam haven't done much.
And the insurance company told us that it is considered a pest, so they don't cover pests or any damage caused by the pest.
Fixes aren't cheap. One company uses a coating to keep the birds away, but each job takes a week.
We apply the coating and then we have to refinish it with the same color and the same texture to match with the existing, right? So there's 3-4 steps. This year we've been getting, I would say, 25 to 30 calls a week.
For those who don't have $20,000 lying around, experts do have some recommendations.
Take a look at what their needs are. See if there's a way that you can provide those needs that distract them away from the side of your house, the side of your shop.
Nesting boxes can be made, or the nearby area can be naturalized in an effort to encourage flickers to settle elsewhere. Remember to repair any holes immediately, and if the birds still come back, consider netting. Mating season typically runs March to May.
Is it not ironic that their name is Flickers? Because they sure act like a bunch of flickers, banging on the house all night like that, causing damage. For people who don't see the video, this is like this beautiful house, just littered with holes all along the side of the building. The homeowners are standing outside the home doing this interview, just surrounded by little chips of the siding all over the place. That looks like a nightmare. I don't think we have that type of bird in Atlantic Canada. I've never heard of this kind of thing happening.
No, I haven't heard of it. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not around here, but I am certainly saying that I haven't heard about this issue in our area at all. But that's not to say that it doesn't happen. But this sounds like the job that the municipality should step in, create these sanctuaries for them so that they have some place to go that's not causing all this damage to homes in these neighborhoods. But because if I was a homeowner in one of these neighborhoods, I'd be losing my mind about this.
It'd be the all-night tapping would be one thing, but then the damage to the home, the cost to repair it, yeah, that sucks. But it kind of like the bat story earlier in the night, they're a protected kind of animal, so you can't just do nasty things to them, which you would probably feel compelled to do. But that said, I could never hurt a woodpecker, even if it was hurting my house. I don't know. I'd be pretty.
I would never hurt. No, I should state for the record, if I was in this situation, hurting them would not be an option that I would entertain.
Putting a net over your house, though, maybe that is an option. Like if it's a huge problem in that area, you could probably buy a large net, drape it over your house, and like that's probably cheaper than replacing or fixing and repairing your siding. Like they threw a number around of $20,000. That seems pretty intense.
Yeah, well, that was to get that special coating over your house or whatever it was
Yeah.
that company was doing. But the first thing I would do is what the woman recommended, was to make your own little nesting box in the backyard.
Yeah, but how
and
do you
encourage
convince
the
it? How do
birds.
you encourage the bird to go to a nesting
I'm
box?
sure there's probably some tasty treats that only these flickers like, and you put it in there, and they smell it and they gravitate to it. And every year you put it up for their mating season, and they go in there and they do whatever it is that they do in these things, and they stay there and they do stuff.
Ugh. I do love this time of year though, when the birds start coming back from wherever they go. I was in my yard today and I saw a whole crew of robins just kind of like messing around on my lawn, and I thought like, all right, spring is actually here. You always know spring's here in Nova Scotia because there's just blue jays and robins everywhere.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice. Hopefully they're all well and they're not sick.
Why would they be sick? They're
bird flu.
Oh, avian flu, yeah. Yeah, let's hope not. But as troubling as a thought sick birds is, the next story about another Canadian family who is finding themselves under siege is even more disturbing. A family in Kelowna, BC has been trapped in a now year-long nightmare as their home has become targeted by a group of masked teenagers. Despite police involvement, the late-night banging, crashing, and yelling persists. And the family is now facing the real possibility that they may end up having to move. Here's the story of a group of teenagers who has a Kelowna, British Columbia family completely under siege. Here it comes.
I mean, I don't feel safe in my house. And I feel like there's potential for something worse to happen.
A Kelowna family on the verge of moving after a series of unsettling moments at their home.
I was sitting in my room, getting ready to go to bed. My blinds were open, and all of a sudden I hear just some really, really loud banging on my bedroom windows. And so that was terrifying. I thought that my house was being broken into.
For over a year, the family says they've been terrorized by a group of teens who bang on their doors and windows and hurl rocks at their home late at night. Global News is keeping the family members' identities and home anonymous as they fear retaliation.
On Thursday, it started again. It was the first time it started this year. And they basically pounded on our house every half hour, doing different things. One time it was scraping, another time it was pounding. Another time it was pounding on the windows.
This went on over the course of the evening until RCMP arrived on scene.
Some youth were believed to have fled, and then we remained in the area. They did not return after the second incident as well.
The family says it has no idea who the teens are or what their motivation is. The family says the teens were recently seen wearing masks and intimidating other neighbors in the Kettle Valley area.
Kids being kids, no, actually this is harassment. It's not just ringing a doorbell, it's pounding on your house, and it's multiple kids to shake your house, to scare the hell out of you.
I don't want to seem crazy tonight, but we have like the strange hum at the Stranger Things building. We have a bat invasion. Is this house haunted, or are these teenagers like just that out of control? I pitch these wild theories because nothing makes sense in this story to me anyway.
It's unusual that they're targeting this house. It sounds like they are targeting a few other houses in the area as well.
Yeah, they kind of went back and forth where it seemed like they acted as if it was just targeting them, but then the masked teenagers were also bothering other people in the neighborhood. So maybe the neighborhood is under siege and not this house. And also, if this one house is under siege specifically and targeted, then why are they on the news without saying where they are for fear of retaliation? Like the people targeting them would know where they are if they're being targeted.
Right. That's what confused me about the whole story. So most people are listening to this in an audio version, so they're not able to actually visually see the news report. But as you heard in the news report, they stated that they are keeping their identities private, so in fear of retaliation. So how they achieved that in the news broadcast was, instead of filming their faces, they filmed their stomachs. And so the entire time that the daughter and the father are talking, the camera is just still shot, zoomed in on their stomachs. And especially the father, who's, got a little bit of a belly, with his hands rested on his belly the entire time, and his belly like kind of jiggling a little bit when he talks. And I'm like, isn't there a less insulting way to hide their identities?
Yeah, like blur
hear
it.
their voices, just blur their faces or something like that. But instead, they just zoom in on their stomachs, showing their shirts, showing their clothes, showing their bellies. Like, there's got to be a better way to get this done than the way that they went about it in this video.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, why not just do the like black silhouette? That whole thing. Why?
Because they're filming their house. Like, we know the house that you're talking about. It's right behind you.
But either way, all of that aside, the people targeting that house are going to see these people on the news and their acts being described. They're going to know, like, oh, this is about us in that house we've been terrorizing.
Yeah, that's Mr. Johnson's belly.
Yeah. Well, why? If it is, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say I don't think this house is being specifically targeted. I think this neighborhood just has a group of out of control kids.
Mm-hmm.
If it was being targeted specifically, I can't imagine it would be random. There would have had to be something that got these, we know, you and I know the way teenagers operate. That's a beat we've been on here on Keep Canada Weird for a while, discussing the rise in disobedience from the teenagers of today. I do know that something needs to catch their attention for them to keep at it. If you ignore them, if you cross the street, if you look down, if you don't honk your horn at them when they're driving stupid, more than likely they'll leave you alone. I don't think they would keep coming back to this house and banging on the doors and scratching the walls if they weren't getting something out of it.
Yeah, if they know that they're aggravating you and you're confronting them and you're pushing their buttons back, then that's going to keep them coming back to you specifically. Just because that's the way we were when we were teenagers. Now, we never did anything like this to the extent of picking a house and constantly going back there and constantly knocking on their windows and their doors and scratching at their windows and their walls and everything. This is getting far past the point of, appropriate teenager, shenanigans, and getting definitely into the world of harassment for sure.
Yeah, where I come from, you would have got your ass kicked if you continued this.
This is the teenager uprising. We don't have a better name for it yet.
That's what you say, but I say it's the teenager decline or the teenager downfall, because I feel like teenagers want to put an end to civilization.
You can't say teenager downfall because that implies that the teenagers are going through the downfall when they're on the upswing.
Well, the teenagers, I think, are trying to see to the downfall of society. It's almost like this sort of anarchy that they want to bring about. So I feel like it's the teenager agitated downfall of Canadian culture and society is maybe what it should be.
That's a little long-winded.
That's wordy.
Here's one. I'll throw this one at you. Maybe the listeners can weigh in on it. What about we just call it the puberty problem?
No, actually, I really like it.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, Keep Canada Weird is often discussing the puberty problem. And we want to hear from other people affected by the puberty problem.
Okay, great. This is rolling off the tongue. It's sounding catchy. Okay, I think we're in the right ballpark now.
We will definitely get some weird reactions from listeners who come in late into this series, though.
Yeah, they keep talking about puberty on this show. Why?
The puberty problem.
They talk about woodpeckers and puberty constantly.
I like it, though. I like it. We also talk about seniors a lot. And
yeah, we need a name for that.
I just call it the joy and bliss of seniors living their best life.
Yeah, but you have a strange attachment to this because you like to watch seniors just doing things. Yeah, you like to watch them do normal things. You enjoy it. You just sit there and watch.
I don't even want to hear about it because we have a palate cleanser tonight. We can't end the episode with hearing about teenagers terrorizing this family. I found a palate cleanser, and yeah, I do like watching seniors do different things, and that's going to be quite apparent because I pick the stories, and this is the story I'm picking to go out on. If you've been following the NHL playoffs like I have, specifically the LA Kings versus Edmonton Oilers series, you may remember an odd performance of the American national anthem from a game last week. It featured a group of senior citizens performing the American national anthem on harmonicas. It was kind of odd, it was sweet, it was cute. Well, the seniors at a retirement home in St. Albert, Alberta are not going to let their favorite team down, and they just went viral for a kazoo performance of O Canada to support their team, the Edmonton Oilers. Here's the news clip about the senior citizen rivalry over national anthems. Here it comes.
This is the most talked about national anthem performance of the NHL playoffs.
And so I thought to myself, like, if they can do it, those seniors, like my seniors can definitely do that.
Armed with kazoos, seniors at Everett Gardens in St. Albert performed O Canada.
It makes everyone happy and cheerful, you know. Even when we were playing the kazoo, I could see the other residents smiling. That was something different for them to see.
Recreation manager Lori Carey says they picked the kazoo because it didn't require a lot of musical background to play.
Put it up to your lips, hum it, and so on.
It's hard. I have a hard time playing the radio.
About a dozen seniors took part in a video to post to their social media accounts.
We actually shot that video. If you can believe it, that was the one and only take that we did.
Who do you think played better?
Oh, us, for sure, for sure. And we didn't practice. We were cold and got up there and did it.
The seniors have put out many fun videos over the past couple of years showcasing their Oilers pride.
Like, it's just so heartwarming to see that you can have fun at any age, right?
The seniors now hopeful they too will get a shot to perform at an Oilers game.
That'd be a challenge, interesting. Why not? We're only young once.
That would be great. We'd love to do that, for sure.
What they lack in performance, they make up in being very endearing. I think that's sweet. And I think the NHL should have them perform at an Edmonton Oilers game.
How many times have you watched that video?
I just love the old guys. Like, I can't even play the radio.
That is my favorite line from the news broadcast. But I'm just wondering, how many times have you watched that?
I watched it 5 or 6 times. What's the big deal?
Oh, okay. How many times are you going to watch it after we stop recording tonight?
No, I think it's a nice story. Don't make it weird.
I'm not making it weird. I'm asking you questions, man, and you answer them. I'm a journalist.
That's true. Do you think that's a nice story, or do you think it's sexual? Or
I love no, I've never. No, that came out of your mouth, not mine. Okay. Your words, pal.
Okay.
Your funeral. Okay. I'm just asking simple questions that the listeners want to ask, but they can't always jump right to nighttimepodcast.com/contact.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask these questions in the moment. And so the listeners who are listening in their bathroom stalls can't ask them for themselves.
They don't need to whisper about, is Jordan weird about seniors?
Yeah. How many VHS of seniors doing things does he have? But I do.
This does seem like a good time to say, for people who send a voicemail, if your voicemail is aired on the show, you email me at nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you what I refer to as the hot pink swag pack, which is an envelope containing your Keep Canada Weird correspondent badge and a bit other nighttime and Keep Canada Weird swag. I'm behind on it. I'm like 3 weeks behind in sending the packages out because I'm waiting for a resupply of stickers to include in the hot pink swag packs. And I got some new stickers that are on their way now. Should be here any day now. And one of them was a custom made it's 2 senior citizens holding ice cream cones sticker. And
no way.
Yeah, I'll send you one too, Aaron.
I want one. So I just want to one more comment about this story before we go to bed. Not together, just separate dociles.
Separate beds, yeah.
Not the right
in
word.
the same room, like Bert and Ernie. Did they share a bed?
I don't think they shared a bed. I think they had 2 separate twin beds, but a lot of couples do that. They don't always sleep in the same bed. So
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, what do you want to
Well,
say?
I want to know. I want to send out a survey or a poll to the other senior citizens who live in that complex, and how do they feel about the kazoos?
Yeah.
I'm trying to sleep.
Yes. I don't know. I'll tell you, my grandmother would. Actually, my grandmother would probably have given playing kazoo a try. But I'll tell you, my grandfather would have hated hearing all the other senior citizens butcher "Oh Canada" on their kazoo. But
Hearing
like
"Oh
I
Canada,"
said,
learn another song already.
I want to end with something special here. Other than so we have our palate cleanser, which was special, but I have another special way we'll call this the cherry on top. We have a listener named Trish who herself is a senior citizen, and she wanted to give us a little bit of information on which ice cream senior citizens prefer, hard serve, soft serve, and what flavors they like. Trish, as a senior citizen, is pulling back the curtain on something we've really wanted to understand for a while. So I'm excited for this. Let's listen in.
As a senior of 73 years, I did not grow up in the Depression. So that's not an excuse for my preference for hard ice cream. My reason for eating hard ice cream whenever my husband and I do go out for ice cream is because it doesn't melt all over you the way soft ice cream does. Soft ice cream, you have to guzzle it down. Hard ice cream, you can take your time and savor each little spoonful. My father always had maple walnut ice cream. I despise maple walnut ice cream. But if you go to a place that has 54 flavors, I'm going to try all 54 over the next decade that we go there. My husband, he'll always choose plain chocolate. How boring is that? Bye.
Bye.
That is like maybe my favorite minute of this whole episode. Trish, thank you so much for pulling back the curtains on such a misunderstood topic of senior citizens and ice cream.
Hold on. Don't use the word misunderstood, because I called it from the beginning that I said seniors prefer hard ice cream.
You also were the one who said something about the Great Depression. She was rebutting you.
Oh, she said in her particular case. She did not.
But the others.
Yeah, she can't speak for the people who have lived through the Great Depression and also enjoy hard ice cream.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was fascinating, and I feel like no shame about her husband. He will get chocolate every time. That's me with vanilla. Like if the place has 54 flavors, the first time I go, I'm going to get vanilla. The second time, I'll get French vanilla.
Right.
The third time, I'll get like Moon Mist if they have that.
Well, I like standard chocolate, but I've said on this show before, Heavenly Hash is my favorite ice cream. It's got everything that you could possibly want in nice hard ice cream.
We're kind of getting into ice cream season now. I think it was 19 degrees here today. It was a beautiful day. I should have went for hard serve ice cream today and just went up to some old people and be like, cheers. It's tapped cones.
Cheers. May I watch?
I have nothing to say to you about that. Let's put a bow on this one, Aaron. We've been through a lot. We've kept Canada weird. We've pursued secrets that the media tried to hide by plastering the election in our faces. And all the while, we learned a little bit about seniors in the process. I think we did a good job. I congratulate you on a great episode.
Thank you. I congratulate you as well for a long list of accomplishments that you've achieved in this episode. And I won't list them because we'll be here for another hour.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, Bonaparte. Until next time.
If you hear a weird humming in your town, think twice before you send a text to somebody. You're just gonna make someone's day worse.
Yeah, it could be their first time using a cell phone. And Jordan, until next time, if you hear a loud banging on your window tonight and you look out and you see a stranger in a mask, it's not me. It's the puberty problem.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, you, Nicole, for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
I want to take my sweater off. I'm hot. 1 sec.
I hope you just no shirt on underneath. No, let's see it.
Did I show my belly?
Just a tiny, tiny bit.
Damn it.
It would have been awesome if you took your Robins sweater off and you had your Robins t-shirt on underneath.
And the Robins tattoo on my belly was visible for a moment.
Well, but you turned around like 1 second. I just dropped something. You turned around. You got the Robins tramp stamp above your butt. It's just a basket of Robins eggs.